Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with highlights from the Gran Turismo World Series test season, and it's round number 2, both nations and manufacturers. We're going to start with manufacturers. So yeah, if you do enjoy these videos, please feel free to hit that like button. It's a massive help to me. This is my job, I do it for a living. And hit that subscribe button, it all helps the channel grow. So yeah, we're going to get on with the manufacturer seasons first. This is top split, this is the highest lobby you can get on the game. And this is a track, Kyoto, which has never really been a track that I gel at particularly well. Now, we're in an okay car for this track, obviously, for the Manufacturers Series. We are in McLaren, so the 650 in Group 4. We've got Aura there in P8, and myself a little bit further down. You can see, I think we're starting in P11, just behind Antonio in the Hyundai. So, yeah, lovely livery created by Amber. And, yeah, we're starting from P11 and seeing what we can do from this position in this race. Let's see if we can make any progress. Like I say, this track has never been a particular favourite of mine. I much more prefer the real life tracks, but we're going to see if we can get some points from this race. So obviously, with it being top split, there is quite a large amount of points up for stake in this race. I think well over 400 points for the win, and if we can get ourselves quite high up, we might be able to gain some positions, as we've already managed to gain one position there, as it looks like someone's had some sort of wheel issue. I'm not too sure what's happened there, but completely not moving on the straight, so we're up into P10 straight away. So nice little way to start the race. Now, these lobbies currently only 15 players in this lobby, 16 normally, obviously, but with the current situation with connections, they've reduced them down to 16. Now, we normally would run 20 players on these races, so I do hope they bring these 20 player lobbies back soon, because I do feel it's needed. We need that extra player count. But coming through here, you can see now the Hyundai seemed very quick on acceleration and top speed. However, it seemed to lack a little bit of cornering speed. So through the fast corners, I did feel like the McLaren had a slight advantage over that Hyundai in front of us, driven by Antonio. But we all know how good a driver Antonio is on GT Sport, one of the fastest drivers on the game on GT Sport, an extremely talented driver. But coming through here, we have a big, massive crash there. I think that was a Subaru that's gone off in that chicane, and I did notice that the Subarus were struggling on that chicane. It's almost like the suspension or something is very stiff for that part of the track. I noticed it a few times in the race. So another position gained there, up into P9, and 2 positions gained on that one without doing an overtake. We will take that. That's all good news for us. We're going to get, maybe if we can get a couple more positions from this race, we could actually come away with some pretty healthy points from this race. So again, coming to the end of lap 1 and into this final corner, very tricky corner. You've got to try, you can either go very wide and get good exit speed, or you can take it tight. With the McLaren, I kind of liked driving it quite tight and getting on the power and let the car rotate with the throttle, and then using the slipstream of Antonio in that Hyundai. Now, again, like I say, with the Hyundai, it did seem to struggle in the fast corner. So turn 1, even though he pulled away a bit on the straight because of that extra straight line speed, through this long left-hand corner, we seem to be able to just get a little bit more speed through here and rotate the car a little bit better. So you can see there, it does kind of save us in terms of staying in that slipstream because of the extra speed we can take through the corner. So working our way all the way through here. Now this is completely flat out, and then we're into that next really fast left-hand corner again, where it does seem to be that the McLaren has a slight little advantage over that Hyundai. Now he has got the slipstream to, I think, the 4-wheel drive cars that are in front of him, so them cars are quite strong around here. However, I did notice that again, even though the tyre wear was quite low, they did seem to fade a little bit quicker than what they would do normally. But yeah, it could be something to do with tyre temperatures, I'm not too sure, but the game doesn't give us any of that information. But again, through the really fast chicane, coming through it, and we've got another Subaru with a big massive off. He spun, hit another Subaru, I think it is there. Luckily, Damien manages to save that, but we're up another position, and we're going to be able to go for a move up the inside here now to take P7, as he had no exit speed after being took out. So yeah, we're going to take advantage of that up into P7, and so far this is looking pretty good. I would actually take a P7 in this race with the points that we would probably get from it, because our target was pretty much 300 points, because I don't really enjoy this track, and yeah, if we can come away with some decent points, it'll be good. Now, there was some performance issues on this track during this race. We did notice that PS5, I presume it's PS5 and probably PS4, but the PS5, because it runs native 4K, was having real struggles at hitting 60 frames per second through the chicane. It was really getting a little bit awkward, because it was mainly further on in the race when the sun started to set and the time of day changed. There was some real performance issues for a lot of drivers that noticed it. So watching the replay camera, you can just see how close this is now. We're behind Antonio, and look how close this battle is for P6. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think a 5th car just in the background behind there. Yeah, you can see there, and another car actually just about a second behind that. So We've got quite a big battle going on for a 6th. We can see Aura ahead there, pulling away. Aura was actually driving very fast around here in that McLaren. He just didn't manage to hook that qualifying up. But yeah, his overall race pace was much better than mine. I just could not match that pace around it. It's one of them tracks, I think, where you've got to get into the rhythm and gel with it. For me, I just can never really find that pace, and I just don't really fully enjoy driving around the Kyoto. But we're going to see if we can try and see if we can find the way past Antonio. So getting very close in the braking, but a bit too far to really go for a move. But again, through the chicane, trying to make sure that we take as much speed through there as possible. But on the uphill section, it did seem like that Hyundai had a little bit more power to pull away on the uphill section. You can see I'm struggling to stay with him. Even in the slipstream, he seems to pull away a little bit. But again, into the braking zone, try and keep in the car as close as we can to the apex, on the throttle nice and early. And now we work our way through to this tricky, very tricky chicane. This one can easily chuck the car off into the barrier on the right hand side, so you just got to be a bit careful as Antonio gets a little bit of lag there. Puts us off a bit, but nothing too severe. Now, once I started seeing Antonio getting a little bit of lag, I had GT Sport memories and thought, I wonder if it might be a good idea to really try and get past him, because his car's moving about a lot, and one thing you don't want to be is behind the car that's lagging around a lot. So again, working our way up the main straight there into the braking zone, and again you're going to see as we come through here, you can definitely see that the McLaren has that little bit of an advantage on the long fast corners. Now I also think Antonio was trying to get used to the track with that car and figuring out how to take that corner, because a little bit later on in the race he does start to get that corner a little bit better. So yeah, maybe it was just one of the early races, he wasn't really fully comfortable with the car around there. But again, working our way into the really fast left hand corners, we see a little bit of an issue there with the record. I'm not sure if that shows up on the thing, but again, I think it was due to the frame rate issues we were getting while we were racing, because when that sun was setting, it was starting to affect frame rates in different places of the track, and yeah, it was a little bit awkward. But we're gonna have a little look on the inside here now. Can we go for a move on the inside? But again, we're a little bit too far back. We can't lunge that up from 3 temps back, 2 temps back. It's not the type of corner, it's not a heavy braking corner, it's a kind of just a little dab on the brakes, chuck the car in chicane. So you've got to be alongside to go for a move there. So again, we can't really go for that one, and again, too far back into this braking zone to send one up the inside. So again, we're just going to sit behind Antonio and try and figure a way past him. We need to try and do it on the exit of one of the fast corners, really, because that is where our car has a definite advantage over that Hyundai. So if we can take a little bit more exit speed and then try and make a move into one of the next corners, that I think is where it's going to work. So again, coming into the end of lap 4 now, and again, we're too far. We're not going to go for a move here because it wouldn't really make sense, because he would probably just get straight back past us on the straight. So try and get a good run out the final corner. Early upshift into 3rd gear. Now, one thing you might have noticed is with the McLaren, I'm shifting around 60-70%, because that is pretty optimal with the McLaren in Group 4. The 650 in Group 4, it's a short shifting car, just as it was on GT Sport. Now, in Group 3, you rev the car out, but in Group 4, you definitely shift this thing around 60-70%. It seems pretty optimal, gives you the fastest pace. And you can see now, we're very, very close to Antonio. However, we're a little bit too close there. We actually got a little bit of out of shape where we couldn't see where we were going, but luckily Damien gave us a little bit of a bump draft on the exit there, and now we're back up behind Antonio. So again, we're going to try and take a wide line out of this corner and see if we can get a better exit. So we go for a wider line, get on the throttle. Antonio takes a very tight line, and we've got a really nice exit now, and we might be able to go for a move. We're going to get the slipstream, and we're going to go over to the left hand side of the track and go for a move up the inside and see if we can make this work. So brake a little bit early, got that moved on, and now we've just got to try and concentrate on the exit speed to make sure that we carry the speed all the way into the braking zone, which we've managed to do, and now up into P6. So pretty good position to be in for the McLaren for me, at a track that I'm not too keen on. We've gained quite a few positions from P11, I think it is now, to P6, so a lot of them positions were gained by other drivers making mistakes. But there's an overtake there, and we'll take this position. If we can hold on to this all the way to the finish, it will be a very, very strong result, especially at this combination in Group 4 for myself. So again, trying to keep it nice and smooth through that chicane. And now this is where we need to get a very, very strong exit, because we know just how fast that Hyundai is on the straight. So again, trying to get it onto that 3rd gear very early, shift out the corner, and then power our way onto the straight. And again, early upshift, you can see there around 60%. That is pretty much optimal with this car, 50, 60, well, 60, 70%, something like that, as we work our way over the line to start lap 6. And you can see now we're coming to the corner that, in general, the McLaren has a little bit of an advantage. And again, you can see in the mirror that Hyundai just losing out a little bit there, and that's given us a little bit of an extra gap between ourselves to try and keep this nice and consistent. Now we're going to skip a little bit further ahead in the race, and you can see we managed to build that gap up to around 1 second, well, just under a second now as we come into this corner, but probably back up to a second as we come out the exit And you can see that Antonio, we were keeping him around the 8 tenths to 1 second range, and that was pretty comfortable. He kept, you know, it was quite nervous because we know how good of a driver he is, so I really did want to break that slipstream, but I just could not get him out the slipstream. It was just so hard. I was trying my best to try and push and push and push, but just couldn't manage it. You can see we're going to skip ahead again further on in the race, and he's still in that slipstream range, just hanging on there in the distance. And you can see we just cannot get rid of him. He's around 1 second still, 8 tenths, different parts of the track, different strengths compared to the McLaren. Now, I do think the McLaren was a stronger car than that Hyundai on this combination. I think it was a better car overall. I just think that I'm not driving particularly the best, to be honest. If I'm brutally honest, at this combination, it's not my strongest. So yeah, if I'm presuming if he was in this car, he probably would have beat us, if I'm honest. But we're not doing too bad though. We're up into P6, and we might be able to get a fairly strong result from this. So trying to keep it nice and smooth on the chicane. Again, that corner, you have to be so smooth while being aggressive at the same time. It's one of them real, if you take it too smooth, you're taking it too slow. But if you go too aggressive, you hit the curb too aggressive, and then you end up into the barrier and you lose so much time. So working our way onto the straight, you can see we're still in P6, and we're coming through to the last third of the race now. You can see that we've got that gap to Antonio still. Now we're going to skip ahead to lap 11, and we still see he's managed to gain a little bit on this lap. He's down to about 6 tenths behind us, so not massively behind us there. He's getting closer and closer. However, we know that this corner here is where the McLaren can always build that gap just up slightly, back up to around 7 tenths. You can see there, back up to 7 tenths. We gain a little tenth on him there, and then again pushing all this lap as we try and work our way through these really, really fast corners. And this again is quite, you know, when you're on your own here, it's fairly simple, but you have to be careful of the curbs. I've noticed on Kyoto now compared to GT Sport, some of them curbs are a little bit more violent and will chop the car off. So into this left hand corner, we still got that gap around 6-7 tenths, and again as we come through here, we can see we get that gap up to 8 tenths nearly as we come out the exit of the corner. That again is where the McLaren has its strengths over the Hyundai. So again, we're going to come to the really fast chicane, just trying to make sure that we hold that gap around 7 tenths. We know that we can't break the slipstream to him because we know that he seems to be a lot stronger in certain parts of the track. We're making a little bit of a mistake there, running a little bit wide, and we actually get that gap down to around half a second, 6 tenths of a second behind us. So we're going to have to be very, very smooth and just try not to make any errors here. It's getting towards the end of the race. We've only got a few laps to go. You can see just how close he was in the mirror there in the braking zone. Although it did look like he braked a little bit late, that's give us a little bit better exit speed. And now we're going to skip onto lap 14. And you can see we managed to build the gap back up. And then if we have a little look in the mirror as we come through the chicane, Antonio gets a little bit out of shape, hits the curb funny, loses control of the rear, and that's going to drop him back. And that actually drops both himself and John back out of the slipstream. So that actually gives me a nice bit of breathing space that we can just be a little bit more relaxed now and just get the car home to the finish. That's all we have to do. So that's all we're going to do now. You can see the sunset changes. It looks stunning on GT7, I have to say, the dynamic time of day, but they do need to improve the performance of the game. There is severe performance issues on PS5 and probably PS4, etc. But we're going to go over the line, and we take a very, very nice P6. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect that from this race. You can see how competitive the lobby is. Very fast drivers in here, top split drivers, and a P6 is a good result for us in McLaren. I think we ended up with 340 points there. You can see it's greyed out because we actually did improve on that in the next round at Interlagos, which we'll show you in a highlights video another day. So now we're going to move on to Nations, and this is where we're going to get our first ever pole position in top split GT World Series. So this is a competitive lobby. We've got a lot of fast drivers in here, and this lap was one of my best laps so far. So into the braking zone, down to second gear, early upshift to fourth gear in this Golf VGT. It just helped stabilize. This car was such a sketchy car that you had to do them shifts up early to keep it nice and smooth. So again, into the braking zone, using that 50 board as a reference, down to fourth gear, then down to third gear. Then we're just going to rotate it with second gear and then back up to fourth gear before we come out the corner for exit speed. You can see how it's a little bit squirrely on the exit, but that's the nature of this car. It's very, very sketchy. So again, down to fourth gear, then third gear, then back up to fourth gear nice and early before we get on the power on our way out the corner. And we're purple at the moment. You can see we're on a purple lap. We're currently P6 in the qualifying session, but we're going purple, which is always good. And now we're going to work our way into the next braking zone, which we're going to look out for the 100 board on the right hand side. You're going to see I'm going to brake just short of the 100 board, so Downshift quite aggressively. I actually used first gear here for a little bit of extra rotation, then back up to third gear instantly. Use third gear, short shift again. You rev this car out pretty similar to the 650, about 70%, 80%, something like that. And then we're going to come through to this very, very tricky corner. This corner is all about chucking the car in, which we managed to do quite nicely there. Chuck it in, use a bit of the exit curb, and working our way into the final corner. Again, using the 100 board on the right-hand side. Down to first gear, get that rotation, then back up to third gear, and then short shift our way all the way to the finishing line now. And this is looking like a pretty good lap. We're purple again on the second sector split, and we're going to work our way down the straight, see if we can get pole position. And I was actually really, really happy with the lap. I think it could have been a little bit faster, but 100% happy. 1 minute 40 flat, 1 minute 40.93 or something like that is there. And that was good enough for pole position. And with a standing start, it's always nice to start on pole position, although it can be quite scary. You can see just how close this qualifying was. Look at the gaps between myself, P1, P2, P3 and P4. Incredibly close qualifying, and this is why top split is so exciting, because every little tenth of a second you can find is so important. So we're going to watch the start from the replay camera as we get a nice little start there. We get away in the lead, and then we're going to work our way down to turn 1, hoping for a nice clean start. That is what you want in these races. We don't want any drama, so we hold the inside line. It's all been fairly smooth so far. We've got ourselves a car length ahead and into the braking zone, putting the car in the middle of the track, and now we've just got to get on the power nicely. Fairly clean through that part, and then everyone's pretty clean. However, in the background, you're going to see a little bit of chaos kicking off. There's a car gone loose, and presumably hits into that other car, and a little bit of death behind us there as 2 or 3 cars have been wiped out the race already. So 2 or 3 cars there, looks like they're involved with that, but everyone at the front in the top 3 or 4 away nice and cleanly, and that's always good to see. So now we've just got to try and keep it nice and consistent. So we see a car in the background spinning out of the exit. Like I say, this car so easy to spin. We did it in a previous race. We bottled probably quite high points in a previous race by spinning out of the corner we've just gone through there, but in this race we're trying to keep it nice and calm, and possibly driving a little bit too nervously in terms of in case we make a mistake, because the previous race with the error that I made, it was still on my mind a little bit. But we're just going to try and see if we can hold on to P1 at this stage. You can see we've got Zav behind us, around 3 tenths behind us there, and we're just going to see if we can hold on to this position for as long as possible. Now I know that Zav is very strong at this track from GT Sport. It was a very, very good track for him. I was okay round here. I wouldn't say it was one of my best tracks, but I do, for a fictional track, this is probably one of my favourite fictional tracks on the game. I think when they relaunched it on GT Sport, I said at the time, this track is really nice. It's got a really nice flow to it, and I do enjoy it. I actually really enjoy it the other way in Group 2 as well. In Group 2, the reverse way, such a lovely combination. I can't wait for some of these combinations to appear on GT7. So I'm going to try and break the slipstream to Zav down the straight there, just to try to stop him getting that slipstream for going for a move into turn 1. And he doesn't seem too interested in it at the moment. I think at this stage he just wants to not battle too much to try and break away from the group that are behind him, because if we start battling, we're going to bring other cars into this battle. So using that early upshift on the exit and just trying to hold on to P1 at the moment. This is actually quite nervous when you're in the lead of a top split race. You're just kind of trying to keep it nice and smooth. You've got a lot of people watching you in the stream. We did this live. I think we had around 900 people in the stream, so it does get quite nervous at these points. And yeah, we're going to work our way out and try and hold on for as long as possible to this P1. So into this left-hand corner, braking just after the 50 board on the right-hand side. Again, using that third gear, then early upshift to fourth. You can see I was a little bit nervous on this corner. That corner is where I was really nervous, because that's where we binned it on a previous race. So I was being a little bit too cautious, I feel. As you see Zav there behind us, he's going to actually give us a bump draft on the straight rather than trying to battle us. So he's going to give us a bump draft to try and make sure we don't fight too much into the braking zone and both lose time. And now we're into this very tricky corner. This corner actually was really tricky with this car, because you had to get into third gear really early, and then we're into that really fast left-hand corner. This corner is where I lose most of my time on this lap. When we had this as a daily race, it took me about 4 days to really start getting the flow of that corner. So hopefully when we've got lobbies up and running, we can do a little bit more practice for these races when lobbies are working properly. At the moment, lobbies just don't work, so we literally just jump in time trial for a few minutes, and then we jump into these races. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, because there is no point doing lobby practice at the moment. There's too many issues, there's too many bugs and stuff. But like I say, hopefully these bugs will get sorted so we can start doing some practices on streams and helping you out with strategy and stuff. So over the line and still in P1, lap not particularly great there, 41.1. We were doing we managed the 40.6 I think in one of the previous races, when we were probably a little bit less nervous and pushing a little bit more. So again, we're just going to try and see if we can stay ahead of Zav for as long as possible. And so far, this lap has been a little bit better. Nice and smooth through this opening part of the lap into the apex, actually hooking that up quite nicely. Down to second gear, early upshifts into fourth gear. And so far, this lap's looking pretty decent. A much smoother lap so far. And we're going to go over the first sector split. Let's see what it is. It felt a lot smooth. And you can see there a purple sector there. So definitely a lot smoother through the first sector. And then on the power, got on the power quite nice on the exit there actually as well. Being a little bit more brave with getting on the power. And now we're going to work our way into the braking zone. Now, unfortunately, into this braking zone, I think Zav just missed his braking a little bit and gave us a little knock on the rear. So as we get into the brakes, just before the 100 board, he just hits us there, knocks us off, out of line. We try and stop it, get a little bit out of shape, and we lose probably a tenth or so there with the little tap from Zav. So unfortunately, we lose a little bit of time. It was actually looking like quite a good time at that point. As you see, we're now down on our own personal best, but it did give us a bump draft, but I think overall we probably lost about 2 tenths because of the hit into the braking zone. So now into this tricky corner again, trying to get on the power nice and early, doing it much better this time, getting really good exit speed that time, nice and smooth. We didn't get any wheel spin, and that is what you want to look for, reducing that wheel spin and just getting as much momentum out of the corner as possible. And we actually go over the line, I think, this time. I think we still managed to get a 1:40, but it probably would have been a little bit faster without the hit. But yeah, mistakes are made. Zav probably knew he made a mistake there. And now we're going to work our way into the braking zone again. And you can see Zav behind us, still holding on to this position and doing a good job at the moment. We've held him off for a few laps. He could have gone for a move a couple of times, but I think our pace was starting to get a little bit more smooth there. However, on this lap 4, we're going to come through to the left-hand corner here, and we don't get the best exit here. You can see I get a little bit out of shape, and Zav just backs out there. Quite clever, really. Could have gone for a move here, but then I would have probably got him back on the straight. So Zav just holds off there, and he's going to probably try and get a better exit on the straight. And we get a little bit of, you see there, a little bit of rear action as we get on the power, and that loses us a slight little bit of momentum. So as we're coming down straight here, we look in the mirror, and I thought I seen Zav go to the right as if to say, don't worry about defending. However, he just fooled us a little bit there. He's going to go for the move, go up the inside, and Zav's going to try and hold that inside line now all the way into turn 1. So we're going to try and hold it round the outside, and this is very tricky to do, try and go 2x2 in this corner. We managed to do that 2x2, hold the outside. However, Zav has now got the inside line, which is going to give him the momentum to hold on to P1. So we're going to lose that position. So unfortunately, we're down 1 position, and now we've got Wind behind us, who we know well, Breeze, Wind, same person, who we know is very, very fast around here and very, very fast on GT7 in general. So we're going to see what we can do. Hold on to the slipstream for as long as possible to Zav. Although, one thing I don't like doing on this game is driving in that dirty air. It seems to really off-put me. I much prefer driving with no one in front of me. I seem to drive a lot better like that also. So we're going to skip ahead now to the end of lap 6, as you see, we're halfway through lap 6, and as we come out of this corner, we get a little bit of a rear sliding, nearly lost it like we did in the previous race when we were live on stream. And now Breeze is going to get a run. He's going to go up the inside there. I should have probably defended that inside a little bit more than what I did. However, this is going to lose us a slipstream to Zav now. You can see we're still in it at this point. However, as we come into the braking, Breeze brakes a little bit too late. We're going to go back up the inside now, and we're going to have to take a really tight line to stop, obviously make sure we don't push him into the barrier. And we've lost the slipstream now, so we lost about 3 or 4 attempts with that little incident there, and now we're going to have to try and hold on through this really tricky left-hand corner. So again, a little bit awkward through there. We run a little bit wide, we tried to push too much, and we've got around 2 attempts behind us, but Breeze goes for a little bit of a dive up the inside, a fair move. However, we've got nowhere to go. You see, we had no space on the outside, so we have to back out of it, or we would have ended up in the grass. And unfortunately, because of that, we end up losing 2 positions. Now, I personally think it would have been better if Breeze would have waited and then got us on the straight, because now he's got no slipstream, and you can see that Devil is now going to get that position off Breeze. So probably would have made more sense for him to wait for the straight, get that slipstream, get the move done, and then we would have been down into P3. He would have been up into P2, but now he's in P3 because Devils took advantage of that. So yeah, a lot of action going off, a lot of battling, but it's good fun racing. It was a fair move by Breeze. I don't think there was... I would have probably gone for that move personally. I just had nowhere to go on the outside. We would have just ended up going into the grass. So now into this left-hand corner. Try and keep it nice and smooth through here. And as we come through here, you can see Breeze gets on the power a little bit too early. He loses the rear of the car and into the barrier, and I think he actually quits from the race. I'm not too sure. Let's have a little look. As we come out the exit here, I think you see in the bottom left-hand corner that he's exited the race. So yeah, into the left-hand corner here. and then powering on, yeah, you can see that I think he's just left the race there. I'm not sure if that was Breeze or not, but someone left the race. Might not have been Breeze, actually, I don't know. But so we skipped on to the last lap now, and you can see that obviously with the gap, we managed to stay within about 3-4. We lost about 3-4 tenths to Devil, so the pace wasn't bad, but it wasn't brilliant. We got a little bit flustered with that middle section, and yeah, we managed to finish the race in P3. But P3 in this race was worth quite a lot of points, as you're going to see. So yeah, taking P3, and that was 371 points because it was a top split race, and we've only done 1 race in Nations, and we probably will only do maybe 2 more. I think there's a Suzuka race and a Group B rally race that we'll probably do. The rest I'm probably not going to bother with. But if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments how you got in your races.